the next 6 months were loads of hospital appointments, and we had to go and identify the guy, and so we had to do the witness thing, no, the lineup thing, sorry, and me and Callum went in and identified the wrong guy, the same wrong guy, and we came out and we're like, number 4? Oh, he's number 4. I was like, yeah, and we went to the detective. He was like, I went, number 4, and he's like, oh, Callum, what did you say? Number 4. He's like, oh my God, because we knew then that the case against was going to be tougher. The other guy that we're out with, Fraser, he identified the right guy, and there was a taxi driver had seen it, and he identified, and the taxi driver was local to Kilmarnock and knew who the guy was, so he also identified. So there was a lot to do with the court case. The court case came around a year later. That was the toughest time for me. So I would have been 19, and again still a kid. When I think of 19-year-olds now and I see them in my work, I'm just like, yeah, I can't believe that happened to me at that age. And the court case was at the Glasgow High Court, and we went on the Monday, and my family came, and my whole family came, and loads of my friends came. It was like a day out, and which was really nice, and it was lovely that they supported me, and my friends and family were fantastic throughout the whole experience, and got to the court, and we were standing upstairs in the court looking down, and I seen the guy walking in, and my memory then was clear. I was like, Mum, that's him. She says, you don't remember what he looks like? I was like, Mum, that's him. I was a bit, I think I was a bit blasé, and I was relaxed about it. I was like, if we get him, we get him. If we don't, we don't. Like, is that going to change my life? And what I realised was we needed to get him to change my family's life and my support system's life. So we were down in the actual witness room this time, and the taxi driver, he had been given death threats if he testified, and this guy's, I hadn't ever met him or seen him, and I seen this guy, he was shaking in his chair, and I said to Callum, I said, I think that's the taxi driver, and I went over and I sat with him, and I was like, are you the taxi driver? And he says, yes. I said, I heard what's happened. You don't need to do this if you don't want to. I don't need you to do this. And he was like, no, I'm going to do it. And the way it went was, I was first up. Again, a very surreal, crazy thing to go through at that age. I can remember the jury, I can remember the judge, I can remember the prosecution, I can see all my family to the left of me, and I'm getting asked questions, and it was crazy, and I had to go through the whole story. And what was most upsetting was hearing my gran and my mum cry, sitting in the stands, and I'm looking at the jury, and there's guys and girls in the jury crying, and I'm just like, oh my God. And I was up there for about an hour and a half. It was crazy, and I can remember every minute of that. When I finished, I came out, and they said that they didn't need me anymore, and I walked down the corridor, and my dad met me, and my dad shook my hand, and he's like, proud of you, what do you want to do? And I said, let's go and get a pint before we go back in. Callum then had to go up on the stand, and Callum was very nervous, and he panicked, and he said he could run 100 metres in 6 seconds, and he said all sorts of stuff that the prosecution went after him. And then it was the other boy, Fraser, who was like, could it have been anyone else? And Fraser's like, no, it was him. So, and the taxi driver done the same thing. On the Tuesday, probably my worst day regarding the full thing was the summing ups before the judge. So it was the summing up of the prosecution and the defence, and I started to believe that it wasn't him. The guy's summing up was so good, and the guy that was representing me, he wasn't quite as good, and it felt as if it had swung in his favour, and all of my family were getting themselves upset, and we came out and we're walking towards the car park, and I was like, oh, I don't feel good, and my mum and Callum grabbed me, and I was just like, tears streaming down my face, and as the jury were coming out as well, and I was just like, oh my God, the jury are going to think I'm crying because for an act. They put me in a car, in the back of a car, I remember, and it was like, again, it was a year later, so it was in November of the next year, and I'm looking out the window, and I just felt nothing. I just felt numb, and I could hear them talking to me, and I just didn't have anything in me to reply, so I just stared out the window, and they were all like in tears driving up the road, and I knew I had the ability to make them feel better, but I just couldn't do it. And then I woke up in the Wednesday morning, and I felt great. I felt brilliant. I was like, do you know what? It doesn't matter. Like, it's not going to affect my life what happens today. Said that to all my family. We went up, and I said, don't worry about it. We're going out for dinner tonight regardless. And the judge's summing up was sensational. They went away for an hour, verdict reached, and again, that was a very surreal moment, walking down to hear a yes or no. They found them guilty, and then the defence guy hands the judge his previous convictions, and he's got something like 76 previous convictions, and 58 of them are for serious assault or drugs, and the judge hammers him, and in my head it was attempted murder, and in everybody else's head it was attempted murder, but because the way it worked, we had to go after that was too serious. We would have to have proven further to get the guarantee the attempted murder, whereas the serious assault with permanent disfigurement, he could still get a lengthy, and he got as long as the judge could give him. And on the Saturday, my body had just had enough, and I was being sick all day, and I had just totally ran out. It had been such a roller coaster. So yeah, and then there was another aspect of it was a few weeks later, I had dealt with my scar. I had felt okay with it. I started to feel like it was part of me, and I had accepted it. And I got a letter through from the hospital saying, we can redo your scar. So it was very thick at this part of it, and apparently the lines on this side of on your cheeks, they run up and down, so it had pulled apart basically, so it got a lot wider than what it should have been. And he said, I can go in and I can zigzag cut it, so I do have a kind of zigzag pattern, and he said, but you're going to hospital in 3 or 4 days time. And I had to decide whether or not I wanted to put myself through the stitches, the hospital visits, and I decided that I would do it.